development and team management. He is an automobile enthusiast with an expertise in strategic planning, market plan execution, pre-sales efforts, competitor and market analysis, targeted marketing orientation, formulates selling and marketing strategies with an interest to train and coach the team members. On behalf of Happy Valley Business School, I extend a cordial welcome to him. I request our guest, Mr. Vivek, GM Sales, Audi Coimbatore, to begin his interaction. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sampath, and Happy Valley Business School for having provided us with an opportunity, and as well as for each and everybody who has joined on this meeting, that to being on a weekend. I guess that most of you are staying safe because of this COVID situation now. I'm here to speak about the brand and innovations of Audi as a brand, what Audi has done and what it has been doing and what it is likely to do in the near future. So that's it. I am proficient in English, Tamil and Malayalam. So even if any case you have some doubts and language shouldn't be a barrier. If you have any doubts, please go ahead and ask me and you can fire your questions at me. I'll try to address as much as possible. That's it, dear students. Once again, as Mr. Sampath was giving a brief introduction about myself, I'm associated with this Audi brand for the past 13 years, working in territories of Coimbatore and Madurai and catering to all customers here. I am basically a Keralite and blessed with a son. I live in Coimbatore itself. My other passion apart from automobile is bike riding. I enjoy bike riding, and I'm gifted that our group owns the Harley Davidson dealership. We quite often get an opportunity to go for weekend drives. So partly biking is my passion. You may consider that also. We can go to the next slide, please. Team students, I like to hear from you, why is branding necessary? So this session is going to be a little bit engaging. It will be, you can download knowledge to yourself also. Why is that branding is necessary to sell anything or everything, be it automobiles, be it mobile phones or anything? So I like to put it another way. Do you think that if branding is not properly done, you can successfully sell a product in the market?
No, sir.
That you think that Harisudan?
Because the branding, beyond just a memorable logo, the branding increases the values.
So can you give us an example on that? It's briefly also.
For example, the branding helps to inculcate the perception in customer's mind that we want them to think.
So in a real world scenario, can you give us an example on that?
For example, even if we take a Maggie also, the recent controversy happened. And again, the brand was, the company was able to restore its faith and loyalty in the customer with the help of good branding strategies.
You are perfectly right, Harisudan.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So another example I like to say here is that if a brand is not going into the consumer's mind, say for instance, we'll take the case of Apple mobile phones itself. Would somebody take the pain of spending 1 lakh rupees on a mobile device if the branding is not in his mind? Do people think that he'll be willing to spend 1 lakh rupees on a mobile phone? So Apple, in that case, they have done the branding well. People want to get associated with that brand. That is merely branding because they feel a lot of pride in using that brand. They get a sense of satisfaction if the other person sees that he's owning Apple mobile phone. That is called aspiration. So branding builds that aspiration inside the consumer. And as Harisuddin was telling us, Maggi, even though they had a downfall in sales in India, throughout India, they came back effectively using the emotional connect. As far as the consumers are concerned, there are two ways of connecting with the consumer. One is logical or rational thinking and your emotional thinking. So most of the advertisement, consumer brands try to connect to the consumers through the emotional way. You might have heard about taking a decision through your heart and your head. Do you people know the difference between that? Taking a decision through your heart and your head, that is through your brain. So that is what we call rational and emotional connect. So any decision, whatever you take, which your heart tells you to do so, is considered to be emotional thinking. And logically, the pricing of a product, once you get into the EMI aspect of the product, how it's going to help you, you're taking a decision through what your mind says. So numericals, it's all related to your rational or logical thinking. Whereas, say for instance, you see a pretty girl, you fall in love. So falling in love is not what your head, your brain tells you. This is what your heart tells you. So branding is necessary for everybody. Sampath sir, can we go to the next slide? So the reason why branding is necessary are these points here. Creates aspiration. Unless otherwise you have aspiration among the consumers or the people, as a brand, it's hard for you to get business. Then branding creates loyalty. Loyalty in the sense, once a person is fixed with the brand, he'll repeatedly become a customer for life to you because he's very much impressed about the brand. Customer retention. Customer retention is one area where most of the automobile companies, not only the automobile companies, every brand in the world is trying to retain the customers through satisfaction and delight processes. Improves recognition. Recognition in the sense, people are aware of what each and every brand is up to, what progressive technologies they are going to do, and what sort of innovations they are doing in the market. Generates new customer aspiration. Branding associates, it helps to bring in more consumer, thereby more sales also. Brand positioning and identity in the market. Identity in the market, people often feel pride in using a particular brand. So branding also helps in that area. Sampath sir, can we go to the next slide? This is again the same slide, so we can skip this and go to the next one. So Audi as a brand, they've got a tagline that says that Versprung durch Technik. It's actually in the German term. What this means is that progression through technology. Progression to technology in the sense, Audi is almost 120 years old company. So Audi doesn't rest on a certain level of technological. They are always in the path of innovations. They are progressing and they are always looking far ahead of advancements in technologies right from the day this company was founded. So each and every brand has their own tagline or what we call a DNA, a character of a company. No two individuals are the same. So similarly, in automobile company also, there are other brands also like BMW and Mercedes and Lexus and Volvo and all other brands are available. But each and every brand has a core importance, a core value, or that is what we call the DNA on it. So for instance, if you consider Audi, Audi is about progression, and if you get to see our new generation cars, they are incorporating certain level of artificial intelligence and all inside the car. So most of the interiors, be it the design of the car, be it the lighting system, be it the way the gearbox or the engine functions, everything is far, far ahead of what other industry automobile companies are doing.
We all look at the same world, but we all look at it in a different way. Some say concept. We see potential. Some just see sheer speed. We see inspirational engineering. Some just see beautiful lines. We see character. Some see a new light. We see a new vision. Some see a factory. We see progress. Some see a new motor. We see a new era. Some see what's there. We see beyond. Audi.
Students, here briefly we have the start of Audi. Audi basically is from Latin language. The founder of this company was August Horch. He was basically a German. He was based in Germany. Most of the time, he also invented an automobile at the same time when Carl Benz invented the automobile. They started a company in 1909. When it was known by the name of August Horch and C. They were into basically one of car manufacturers. On those days, we are speaking about 125 years before, there were not a lot of motor cars on the road. Mostly it were horse-drawn carriages. Horse-drawn carriages were basically if a super rich person wants to own an automobile, he'll go to a manufacturer and he'll customize the entire car. Customization in the sense, what sort of wood he makes, what sort of leather he wants to dress up the seats and upholstery of the car. Everything was custom made, and in fact, it took them quite a lot of time to manufacture an automobile. It went into almost like 2 years to build an automobile. So only the super rich could afford an automobile on those days. In that time itself, Audi was actually founded. We are speaking about 125 years before. And later what happened was that, Sir Sampath sir, can we go to the next slide? Audi is basically, you will get to see the 4 wings in the Audi models. It is actually an merging of 4 companies. There were 4 different companies in Germany during that time. This is what we are speaking about in the region of around 1930s. 1930s, after the World War I, Germany was literally shattered, and most of the companies were bombarded by the other nations. So once all these companies came together to start producing cars, they didn't have the financials. So August Horch, what he did was that he went to his banker and asked a loan from his banker, which the banker said that as an individual company, he'll not be able to provide him with a loan. So he suggested to August Horch that another 3 other automobile companies is also in the same scenario as you are in Germany right now. Why don't you all join as a group and form a company? So that is when these 4 companies, one is this Audi, Horch, BKW and Wanderer. These are the 4 companies which merged together to form what was then called as Auto Union. It is a union of 4 different automobile companies. All these 4 brands have had different expertise on one areas. So 4 rings, what you find in the Audi brand cars today is merger of 4 companies. On those days, until 1937 and all, Until 1960s, Audi was not known as Audi. It was known only as Auto Union, union of 4 automobile companies. Next step. Audi innovations. Audi has always been in the forefront of innovation. Say, for instance, in 1937, Audi built a car which was capable of doing a speed of around 407 kilometers per hour. Way back then, we are speaking in the region of around 80 years before, 85 years before. Now we are all aware that a Bugatti Veyron could do around 427 kilometers per hour, which is producing around 1,500 bhp. But consider this was achieved around 85 years before. Audi was far ahead on those times itself. They built a car using entirely out of aluminum alloy. Aluminum alloy in the sense it was made out of a material which they used to build aircraft. And the other part of that particular car was that the engine was mounted in the middle of the car. Middle of the car, usually you find the engines to be either on the front of the car, that is what we call the bonnet and everything, or else the engine might be mounted on the rear of the car. Say, for instance, in certain models, the Volkswagen Beetle and the Porsche, everything has the engine on the rear of the car. So, mid-mounted engines is norms today for supercars and hypercars. If you get to see all the Ferraris and Lamborghinis, Huracans, Aventadors and everything, the engine is exactly mounted behind the driver. So this gives them better handling on the car. You can carry more speeds on the car, corners, and the performance of the cars increases. So this is a norm now. But we need to consider this was done by Audi around 80 years before itself. Apart from that, in 1980s, you might have heard about World Rally Championship. World Rally Championship is what happens now also. So those were the days when they had something what they call a Group B. Group B is a division. There are certain group of cars, Group A, Group B, Group C and all. So Group B cars, there were a lot of international brands participating in this race. So in those days, there wasn't internet or your mobile device or your TVs were much lesser. So automobiles, to create a brand, they didn't have any other choice rather than to participate in motorsports and make a position for themselves. If a brand is very successful in motorsports, the association to the brand increases. So naturally, everybody wanted to be in motorsports. In those days, in the World Rally Championship, there were brands like Lancia, Alfa Romeo, Peugeot, Ford, everybody were participating in this races. But Audi was the only brand who came up with the idea of having a four-wheel drive system. Four-wheel drive system is basically, in Audi terms, we call it the Quattro. Quattro is a Latin American language. Quattro means four. So basically, there have been four-wheel drive systems in Jeeps and models like SUVs and all, where before that itself, people had a four-wheel drive system. What was exception in an Audi was that they took a four-wheel drive system and installed it in a normal, everyday family sedan car. So the very first time they took the car to the race, that was the model called by the name of Audi S1 Quattro. This was in 1980. Most of the other brands were saying that you can't win this race because we are producing more power, but you are having the power sent to all the four wheels. You will be creating only more losses from the engine. So it's not sufficient for you to, either you need to increase the power of the engine. So Audi said that they had different ideas. What this Quattro could do was that you might have seen most of the WRC, that is the World Rally Championship, happens only in off-road conditions. There might be roads and there might not be roads in dirt conditions and all. So Audi excelled in that World Rally Championship. What was advantageous for Audi was that they could carry more speeds throughout the corners. Where other cars needed to brake, Audi was accelerating out of the corner because they had grip from all the four tires. Even if one tire was hitting, the other three tires had the grip levels and they could carry more speeds through the corners. So this was another advantage. And now, if you consider every car which runs in a WRC, that is a World Rally Championship, is by default has a four-wheel drive system. And if you see or consider any other supercar or hypercar which is being launched globally, be it from any brand, because nowadays 600 bhp, 700 bhp, 800 bhp has become a common sight. To handle all that power, every manufacturer has understood that without all-wheel drive system, it's hard for them to handle all this excessive power. So Audi in 1980 itself, they've introduced this technology. And another innovations with Audi was that Audi was the first brand in 1993 to showcase a car which was made entirely out of aluminum. The entire world said that this is not possible. How could you build a car which is made out of aluminum? Because normally you get to see cars which are built using steel and high strength steel. Whereas Audi went the opposite way and they manufactured a model by the name of A8 and they called that an ASF. ASF is Audi Space Frame. So that car was made entirely out of aluminum. What Audi was proving to the world was that instead of using steel, by using aluminum, they could bring down the car's weight by 30%. Say, for instance, a steel body car was weighing 1000 kilograms. Audi's, this ASF constructed car was weighing only 700 kilograms. So, and people were asking them whether if you're going to build it with aluminum, what happens to safety then? Because the car is supposed to protect the occupants inside the car. So aluminum is not as strong as steel is what most of the people's perception is. So Audi put an end to that question also. The way they constructed the car, the angles and curves and wells and design of the body, they could increase the structural strength of the car. Structural strength in the sense, the cabin area of the car, it was stronger than steel by almost 40%. So in technical terms, I tell that to be structural rigidity. So they could increase the structural rigidity by 40%. So this also I'm telling you around, which was done around 30 years before. So now most of the manufacturers are incorporating that aluminum technology, and you might have heard about carbon fibers. Everything is coming into automobile industry. So they want to reduce the weight so they can enhance the power of the car and they can reduce the CO2 emissions or pollution levels of the car. So everybody has a perception that heavier the car, the stronger it is, but it is not the case. We like to differ on that because lighter the car, it's much nimble as well as you stopping distance, braking distance also comes down compared with the much heavier car. Students, as of now, do you have any doubts on what we spoke about? You want to have some more input on?
Good to go, sir.
Okay. So these are the basic innovations what Audi is looking at nowadays, because the entire world is switching over to electric cars. And all of a sudden, the internet connections, which was only 30 crore in 2000, has grown to 400 crores in the year 2016. So the internet and mobile device and connectivity is increasing very, very rapidly. So almost all the brands who are in the automobile industry find themselves threatened if they don't go into digitalization and connected cars. So now we are speaking about electric cars. The entire automobile industry might change in the coming decade, might be 10 years, 15 years down the line. In India itself, you might get to see a lot of electric cars driven on the road. In fact, we are launching a new electric car sometime by December this year. So you now also Tata has come up with electric cars. Hyundai has launched their own electric car. So the entire industry, so 125 years of research, development, development of engines, development of gearbox is all going to go down the drain, because naturally in an electric car, you don't have any sort of mechanical. It's about the battery and the motor. So naturally that's going to be a complete shift in another 10-15 years. And artificial intelligence is going to come inside our car. Our new generation car, everything about the car is controlled by electronics and chips, because basically if you get inside the car, if you start to drive for 3 kilometers, This car can create an entire profile of your preferences. Say, for instance, one person would prefer sporty drive because he'll be accelerating abruptly. The steering inputs might be a little bit harder. Might be the next person who's coming to drive the car would have an entirely opposite preference compared with the previous person. He'll be very laid back. His inputs on the steering will be very soft, light, and all. The car automatically senses it, and alternatively, it can change the systems on the gearbox, engine, drive systems, everything about the car. It can automatically change by itself. So the next thing about innovation is active noise cancellation system is what Audi is working. And the new current A8 and the Q8 model which is launched, you literally sit inside the car, brake it drive. They've in fact gone to the extent of reducing the wind noise on the car also. It's so silent that most of the prospective buyers who take a test drive on our A6 or an A8, once again they try to start the engine even though it's running. They feel that the car is switched off. So silent and so refined and so smooth are the cars and engines of nowadays. And they've introduced the mild hybrid systems also in the new generation cars. Mild hybrid systems is basically like for 40 seconds time, if you're cruising on a highway, for 40 seconds, it can completely switch off the engine, and there is an alternative battery. Normally, a car has single battery. These mild hybrid systems has two batteries. The second battery takes care of all the functions from the car. That is further to increase the fuel efficiency and reduce the emission levels of the car. So, next slide. This again is autonomous driving. Autonomous driving is basically self-driving cars. Autonomous driving itself, you have 5 levels. That is level 0, level 1, level 2, and goes all the way up to level 5. So the A8 model, what we have introduced in India right now, has got what we call an autonomous driving level 3. Level 3 in the sense, it has a traffic jam pilot option. So until a speed of 55 kilometers per hour, say for instance, if you're traveling from Avanashi Road up till the airport, you put it in active traffic jam pilot and you activate that function. You don't have to do anything on the car. You literally take off your foot and your hands off the steering wheel. The car will drive by itself. It will start to follow the lane and it will do the directional changes. It will brake by itself. It will accelerate by itself. So this is what we call a level 3 automation level. And Audi is actually going into autonomous level 5 in European countries. There are certain models they have introduced with level 5 autonomous driving, wherein even on the highways, there will not be any speed restrictions. You can literally let the car drive by itself. Autonomous driving is nothing but self-driving cars. So there, whole lot of artificial intelligence and all plays a vital part in that autonomous driving function. Then we can go to the next slide. So this is once again an innovation by Audi. Adaptive air suspension system is basically like, normally people consider only the engine. Even if you people are going to purchase a car, our priority should be how the sound system is, how the engine acceleration is, braking is and all. Most of the people don't give importance to the suspension of the car. Suspension actually plays a very vital part in the comfort levels of the car. The car which is very bouncy and or very hard on potholes and all, you'll find it to be very uncomfortable while driving on the car. So Audi introduced what they call an adaptive air suspension system. Adaptive air suspension system is basically you float on a column of air. In the suspension system, what they did was that you can change the car as per the preferences of your preferences or according to the road conditions. Say for instance, you're approaching a road which is full of potholes, you can put that suspension into comfort mode, whereas the suspension system automatically compensates of the road perfections on the car's occupants. You hardly feel anything inside the suspension. So that was an innovation which they did around 40 years before. So now what Audi is trying to do, being progressive, is that they are going into predictive active suspension. Predictive active suspension is basically like In that adaptive air suspension system, a person who's driving the car needed to choose the options between himself. If the roads are bad, he needed to press a switch wherein to convert it into a comfort mode. So in the predictive system, it takes data from the global positioning system through the navigation which is installed in the car. And if the car senses that the roads are bad, automatically the suspension gets adjusted by itself. You hardly do anything because you enjoy the drive. The rest of all is taken care by the car itself. There are cameras, laser scanning cameras and regular cameras mounted in front of the car, which scans the road, and according to the road conditions, it can adjust the car suspension itself, because it gives topmost priority to comfort. So this is basically one among the innovations of what Audi has done. Sampath sir, next slide. These are the production facilities of Audi. In fact, most of the people aren't aware. Ducati, the motorcycle manufacturer based out of Italy, and Lamborghini, once again, a brand, supercar manufacturer based out of Italy, everybody know them, is owned by Audi. Audi owns both these brands, and these are the production facilities. Globally, they have production plants in 100 countries, and there are around 13 plants throughout the globe. In India also, we have a plant based in Aurangabad in Maharashtra. In India, there are different types of models which are being brought in. One is what we call a CKD kit. CKD kit is completely knockdown kits. And another route is a CBU unit. CBU or FBU, both means the same, completely built unit or fully built unit. There are certain models which are being brought in as CKD kits. CKD kits would be basically the A3, Q3, A4 models and all. And the flagship models, that is the more luxurious models, say for instance the A8, Q8, RS7, RSQ8, all are being brought in as completely built unit from Germany. This is the difference what we have in India. And the difference between both these two, CKD and CBU, is that in the CKD unit, you don't have any choice of customization, or else the choices would be very limited. They'll have a prefixed grading system on the car, in which a certain level of features will be added. Whereas in the CBU unit, the choices what you can do is limitless. Say for instance, in the CKD, the paint color options on the car is only 5 paint color options. Whereas if it's a CBU, you have around 64 paint color options on it. In the CKD, the interior color choice would be limited to 1 or maximum to 2. Whereas in the CBU, the interior leather color choices can be up till 6. The CKD, the alloy wheels option might be 1, and the CBU, it might be around 6, 7. So the list goes on. An individual can customize or individualize his or her preferences if it's a CBU unit, but the CBU unit will be more expensive compared with your CKD systems. So these are two ways of Indian operations. So here, do you students have any doubt on this, CKD and CBU? Sampath sir, you can go to the next slide. So these are the models which we currently have with the A6. It's an actually premium luxury sedan. This has been Audi's one of the most successful models. They sell close to 2.75 lakhs to 3 lakh units in a year globally. This is one of the most successful models. This Q2, this is the very first time it's a compact SUV which is getting launched sometime by the month of November. It is being brought in as a completely built unit. It's a compact SUV car which is getting launched in November. Next slide. So this Q8 is our flagship SUV. We had the Q7 until December 2019. This year they have launched the Q8. This is being brought in as an CBU route. As I told you, you have limitless options on this CBU cars. And A8L, A8L represents a long wheelbase version. There are two versions of this A8. A8 is a luxury limousine in which the rear seat it's got massage functions, it's got foot massager, seat ventilation, heating, and everything is there in the car. This is also being brought in as a CBU from Germany. Next, sir. So these both cars are our performance cars, which was launched the previous month. This RS-Q8, you might have heard about the Lamborghini Urus. As Lamborghini is part of Audi group, this RS-Q8 and the Lamborghini Urus shares the same chassis, same engines and everything, apart from the exterior skin. So this has got a V8 engine with 600 bhp and 800 Newton meter of torque, which is almost in the league of a supercar. People are surprised driving this RS-Q8 because it's a huge SUV which handles more like a supercar. So the RS7 is also shares the same engine. It's got a V8 with what we call a cylinder on demand function. That is what we say a COD. Cylinder on demand is that it's got a 4-liter, 4000 cc 8-cylinder engine. Say for instance, you're driving this car in the city driving or heavy traffic conditions. 4 of this 8 cylinders automatically gets cut off. So only the 4 cylinders work. Technically speaking, instead of a 4000 cc engine, this car will be driving in a 2000 cc engine mode. So once you try to accelerate, all the 8 cylinders gets activated and all the 600 bhp you get to enjoy and have fun on this car. So both these cars, Quattro by default is standard on both these cars. And delivery time, it takes us 6 months to deliver this car because these are all made to order cars. It takes around 4 months for production to be completed, and the 5th month it's dispatched, and most likely by the 6th month it will get delivered. This RS7, we have delivered 2 cars in Tamil Nadu. Next, sir. So future in the sense, being an individual, being a company, being a corporate or anybody, we need to be open to change because the world is changing very rapidly around us. We need to be updated by ourselves in terms of technology, and the situation is that either perform or perish. That is the situation right now. So the future vision of Audi by 2025 is that digitalization, sustainability and urbanization. These are the 3 core areas where Audi is working. Digitalization in the sense, in future what Audi feels is that most of the cars would be connected. It will be sort of like all will be connected cars. Connected cars in the sense, in fact, once you open your mobile phone, you'll get to see where your parking space is. You can go and park there. Your traffic lights will be linked to your car, so you can find the easiest route to your destination. This digitalization and all is what Audi is working upon. Audi goes electric. This is what we were discussing about. The entire automobile industry is going towards electric now. Because of one person, you might have heard about him, Elon Musk. He revolutionized not the motors and electrical system of the car. What he could possibly do was that he could increase the power density on the batteries. So nowadays, an electric car could do between 250 to 400 plus kilometers of range. So emission levels are supposed to be brought down, and every company is going towards being CO2 neutral, that is carbon dioxide neutral, and reducing the carbon footprint. So as I was telling you earlier, automobile companies don't have any other go rather than switching over to electric cars in the near future. Sir, next. So there might be 2 types of cars. Of course, everybody will go into electric mode, and autonomous driving would be the next level of automobiles. Autonomous driving in the sense I was telling you earlier, that self-driving cars, the cars will drive by itself. And Audi is working on sharing options. In Europe and other countries, they are doing it on a trial basis. wherein if you pick up a car from here, you can drive it. If you say, for instance, you wish to go to Tirupur, you can take the car to Tirupur, leave the car there. So these are our electrical models, which the e-tron, the very first blue color car, is likely to get launched in India sometime by December. It will have a range of around 350 to 400 kilometers range. So what the brand by themselves asking us to do is that we'll have a charging facility in our showroom as well as at our service facility, which is close by to the airport. They have something what they call a quick charging facility. That will be a high tension, high voltage charging facility, wherein if you are willing to spare 15 minutes, 80% of the range you can get it charged up. So normally it will take 8 hours to get fully charged. So in the quick charger facility, the charging options also, almost all the automobile companies are trying to increase the range as well as the speed at which the charging takes place. So the next models, they are exhibiting the artificial intelligence Me model, and more or less this electric cars is not anything lower in terms of performance compared with your 4-cylinder or 8-cylinder engine. It will be equally quick also. Next, sir. So we wanted to give you just brief about marketing. So that was around 5 years before itself. Take for instance, in our case itself, marketing, our major turnaround in inquiry generation in marketing was through newspaper ads. Newspaper ads were bringing us a lot of inquiries. So considering the scenario now, because of this COVID times, even if we are going to pay money and give an ad in the newspaper, there is not much of a difference, or there are not inquiries generated out of it. So the entire world is switching over to digital medium now. You might be aware of that. Digital marketing is the happening thing currently. So if you're not into digital marketing, you're no way in the market. So that is the scenario here. So digital marketing, you get to see most of the options which is available currently, including your search engine optimization, email, social media, everything. Either being in digital marketing gives you two benefits. Either you get a sale out of it, or else at least it helps in building up your brand. So much lesser expenses and much higher reach is what digital marketing is enabling all other companies to survive now. Next, sir. Why digital marketing? These are the points why digital marketing is beneficial to most of the brands now. Cost effective, because it's costing us only 1/3 of what we were doing. Say for instance, for giving a paper ad in Coimbatore and up till having a reach until Tirupur, for a half-page ad in regional daily or else in Hindu, we had to spend around 2 lakh rupees for a single ad. Whereas in the digital marketing, we hardly spend 60,000 rupees for the entire month. And the reach what we get is almost 5-fold of what we had in a newspaper ad. So most of the people are using the smartphones nowadays, and everybody is getting connected. So almost 80% of the prospective buyers who are walking into our showroom have already went through our website and have visited our European website or else an Indian website. They have browsed and they have gathered some data even before entering the showroom. Initial days, it was our duty to download all the informations to the customer, including in physical product brochure, price list, test drives, everything was supposed to be done by the sales consultant. Whereas nowadays, consumers are very well informed about what is happening, and in fact, they can spring us surprises also. In fact, they tell us that this model is being launched in Germany. Why not? When is this going to come to India? So our sales consultant, our people also need to be very progressive, very informative, and what is happening around them, they also need to be very aware of it. So next. So these are few of our events which we do during our product launches. This happened at Radisson Blu. hotel, we had a dinner, we had a musical event during that time. Most of the customers whom we have given cars and who have taken other competitors' models also were invited. So this normally happens because we want to build a brand. Unless otherwise we do this events, the buyer who's going to splurge almost 2 crore rupees on a car isn't even aware of what is with Audi. So by doing these events, we ensure that this goes to the market very well. Next, sir. This is then again all the glimpses of that particular event. Next, sir. This was another models launch which happened at our showroom in Coimbatore, A6 model. So this is basically our vehicle delivery. This is one of the greatest event for us because we have sold close to 2,000 cars right from 2012 until 2020. We have delivered almost 2,000 cars to customers. And this gives us a lot of content that after test drive, after product confirmation, gives us a sense of fulfillment after delivering the car. Next, sir. We also conduct events like for SUVs as well as sports cars. We have 2 different events. For SUVs, there is what we call a Q-Drive. Q-Drive is basically a Quattro drive. Quattro, as what I was telling you earlier, it's an all-wheel drive function. We build our own tracks somewhere in the outskirts of the city. This was done in Rakindo golf course in Kovapur. We have instructors coming from Audi India. They by themselves design the track and they ensure that the maximum potential of the SUVs can be experienced by the consumers there. Other brands, what they do is they have their own professional drivers who will be driving and the consumers will be sitting on the car and experiencing the track and all. Whereas in this case in Audi, what we do is we allow the customers itself to enjoy and drive and see what their own vehicles are capable of doing. Next. This is Audi Club. Audi Club is in India. Is every Audi customer who buys an Audi car gets an Audi Club membership. Audi Club membership, you have numerous benefits out of it. Your air ticket booking included, your hotel reservations, everything is taken care with the Audi Club membership if you are having one. Next one. Once in a while, at least once in 6 months or yearly, we will have a customer meet so as to keep our customers engaged within the brand. So as I was telling you, getting a customer is easy, but retaining them on the longer run is much harder. So we try to do it because in this scenario, we get to engage with the customer a lot more. They are very well connected with the brand. It becomes more of a personal sort of relationship than a commercial relationship. Next, sir. We have our own pre-owned car divisions also, Audi Approved Plus, whereas in this they have around 301 checkpoints. 301 checkpoints in the sense, if you're going to purchase a used car in the market, you have numerous options, that is used car dealers and everybody. What a person buying a used car from us gets is that he gets peace of mind. Basically, like the car is sold as good as a new car, the entire parameters on the car, that is including your engine, gearbox, mechanicals, everything, including a body, history of the car is thoroughly checked, and they certify the car. And in fact, the beauty is that in pre-owned car, you can have a warranty also similar to what you get on a new car. Next. Future, that is what we were discussing. Future scope as students for you, what we wish to pass on is that you need to be very curious to learn things, and you need to be very progressive as an Audi brand, because you need to look far ahead of how the world is changing. The world is changing at a very rapid pace. once in 3 months, once in 6 months, you get to see and hear a lot of new technologies coming here. And there are people who wish to employ you, and to impress them, you need to be in line with the latest technologies and latest advancements, everything. So that is one thing we wish to download to you. Next, students, any questions as of now?
Hello, sir.
Yes?
So may I?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, a few days ago, there were talk about Elon Musk and Tesla. Like he said that he is okay, or he's planning to have open a market in India also. So hypothetically, considering the situation, if Tesla comes to India, where Tesla have much more bigger experience in electronic vehicles than Audi, would Audi have a need or requirement to rebrand itself or to market in a different way like Tesla does?
Because Tesla and Audi, they're completely in the opposite end of the spectrum. If you consider Tesla, in a year they are selling around 35,000 cars. Audi is selling just 3,000 cars. So the difference is very vast. Tesla has been the prime mover, and they have the advantage of being the first mover in the market.
Okay.
So the success what Tesla had was that to increase the range of the cars, basically. Like in India, there is an contradiction or else an issue here, because the purpose of going all electric is the zero emission vehicles, that is ZEVs.
Okay.
So naturally, there was a case study which was done somewhere in Europe. The case study was between two countries. One they took Norway, another example was Australia. So in Norway, the power generation, non-conventional power generation in Norway was comparatively higher compared with any other European countries, or else for the matter, any other any other countries in the world. So Norway is one country where electrical vehicles is sold much higher. Almost 90% of the cars sold there in Norway are electrical cars. It might be an Audi, it might be in Tesla, it might be any other brand, but electrical cars are sold in large numbers in Norway.
Okay.
So for a country which is producing electricity through the means of wind power, solar power, geothermal energy, driving an electric car makes sense, because they are not producing any emissions, because the power generation is environmental friendly. So if you take the scenario opposite to Australia, 70% power generation is through coal power or thermal power plants.
Okay.
So driving an electric car in Australia, so that power is generated by burning coal. So there it becomes pointless for us to say that I am not polluting the environment, because the electricity for your car is produced somewhere burning coal. You understand, Ashwin? So this is the scenario.
Yes.
So this is the scenario which is happening, and as far as India is concerned, we are more dependent on thermal power generation. The other challenge for an electric car is that your infrastructure. Say for instance, most of you all would have been to Bangalore. So let us take a case of our e-tron itself, which has a range of 400 kilometers per hour. You have picked up an e-tron, you have charged it fully, you are leaving to Bangalore, your electronic city, you reach, your e-tron is completely exhausted, out of charge. So as of now, the infrastructure for charging in India is much lesser. So electrical cars, the global manufacturers, if a government puts a rule tomorrow that day after tomorrow you are supposed to sell only electric cars, they have the model lineup, they have the brands, they have the models, they are willing to bring it to India. But as consumers, there is one anxiety which goes even through an European consumer's mind. That is what they call range anxiety. Range anxiety in the sense a person driving an electric car is always concerned whether he'll reach his destination.
Okay.
So gradually it will come. Government is on the move to install electrical charging points at our current fuel stations itself. They are asking Indian Oil Corporation, Hindustan Petroleum and Bharat Petroleum, they might tie up and they'll have an electrical charging outlets in those petrol stations itself in the coming years or days. Of course, as you said, electric cars are the future. There is no two ways about it.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, sir.
Yes, Mary.
Sir, do you think our Indian political policies are hurting big brands like Harley Davidson and GM? Will German brands follow their American counterparts?
As of now, Mary, to my knowledge, to whatever I have seen, you can build a good product that will be good on quality, that will be good on performance, everything. You can build a product as such, you can make it. But the challenge is trying to sell it through marketing. If you see, these Korean brands are very good at that. It all depends on the attitude of the people or the brand, I guess. This is nothing official about it. This is my own view I'm telling you, because
Okay.
if you take, for instance, Harley Davidson has got a rich heritage. People here in India too are aware of Harley Davidson. Chevrolet is here for the past 100 years. People know about Chevrolet, Plymouths and everything were running in India around 80 years before itself. They couldn't sustain in the Indian market. But you see the surprise, a brand by the name of Kia.
Yes.
They come inside India around 8 months before, and if you see the queue in the showroom, you feel that they are giving the car for free. You understood, Mary? That is,
Yes, sir.
making a product only doesn't sell here. Knowing how to sell that product also helps in your success. That is what I was telling you. Marketing plays a very, very vital role in it. Kia, nobody was aware that such a brand existed in the world. Only quite a few of the people or people who had worked in Middle East were aware of the Kia brand. That car is selling like hot cakes. And if you consider TV also, around 25 years before, the brands which were knowledgeable to us was Solidar, BPL, Onida, Sony were the only brands which were available. Sony was an established player. But consider it in consumer durables also. These Koreans particularly, they know how to market their products well and how to sell. If you consider LG, Samsung, they are in the forefront of sales now. To my knowledge, the Americans or the Yankees, how they call it, they have their own frame of mind. They are content with catering only to the American market and American people's needs. That is why Harley Davidson, not only in India, they are rethinking the strategy about being a global brand rather than being a US specific brand. They are very patriotic, but end of the day, to survive and sustain in a business, you need to have a wider perspective or else a global view on your products. Does that answer your query?
Yes,
Mary?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Sir,
Yes, Reshma?
May I-
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, the brands like Audi and Mercedes talk about innovation, which is a very costly factor. And before this innovation comes into the market and lasts for some time, it gets outdated so quickly. So how do companies recover this course, sir?
Putting it in one way, ultimately consumers pay for the innovation. If you, me, and could afford an Audi, the cost of research and development and the innovation is inbuilt inside the product cost itself. Because as far as Audi is concerned, for R&D itself, globally, they have 13,000 people, engineers working for research and development. So, Reshma, it so happens that if we don't introduce new features or new products, the world is moving very fast. So if we are not going, if people don't find us to be interesting, being as a brand, they don't come to us. We need to have some sort of newness in the brand. Newness in the brand, it might be in the area of how the car looks, the design looks, how the interiors function. Say for instance, Mercedes until 2015, BMW was the #1 premium player in around the globe. BMW was selling around 18 lakh units around the world. They were the #1 position. Mercedes was second and Audi was third. In 2015, what Mercedes thought was that until 2015, people had a perception that Mercedes was an old man's brand. Old man's brand in the sense, people who have crossed 45 plus only were settling on a Mercedes-Benz. It wasn't attractive to the youth or young generation. But now what is happening is that the entire global economy is changing. Youngsters, young billionaires and millionaires are popping like mushrooms and they have high levels of disposable income. So Mercedes identified this even before there was a transformation and they changed the brand identity altogether. Altogether in the sense, if you take a look at the Mercedes cars which are arriving now or being launched now, it is more sleeker, more stylish, it's more attracted to the younger generation. The previous generation Mercedes were very much understated. Understated in the sense, you hardly had any very attractive lines or shapes or curves on the car. So the entire design aspects itself as Mercedes has changed. And what this did to the brand is that from 2018, Mercedes has become #1 globally. It has overtaken BMW and BMW has been pushed to the second slot. So you need to think what the consumers, not only India centric, being a global brand, their ideas needs to be globally, be it in a Chinese consumer, be it in European consumer, be it in US consumer, be it an Indian consumer, this all needs to be taken into consideration. You asked me the question, Harley Davidson, the reason why Harley Davidson failed might be partly because of government policies. And that does not mean that Harley Davidson did all the right things and our government did all the wrong things. They're forcing the wrong way and they position the products in the wrong way. That might also be one factor of that.
Okay.
Is that addressed, Reshma? Is your doubt addressed?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Sir?
Yes, Harisun?
Yes, sir. Sir, how do you know when a branding strategy is not working, sir? I mean, rather than directly looking upon the sales volume, is there any specific key metrics given more importance in Audi, sir? I mean, to measure the performance? Is there any specific key metrics?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Harisudan, our job is becoming simpler in this times of digitalization and internet connectivity and all. Our job was being made simpler because around 5-10 years before, it was hard for us to gauge what was in the consumer's mind and all. Now, because of this digitalization and all, say for instance, you want to know how out of the three brands between Mercedes, BMW and Audi, which is most aspirational brand. So aspirational brand is people willing to buy an Audi or BMW or Mercedes in the coming future or when they grow up or they make money. That is purely aspiration. So nowadays we can gauge this by simply visiting our social media sites. Your Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram sites you go, Audi has got most number of followers compared with BMW and Mercedes. So that is one way of gauging what is in the consumer's mind or particular public's mind. So nowadays, even through search engine optimization, through digital marketing, we get to know how many clicks we get, to what sort of people we are focusing on, to which age group we are focusing on, which age group of people are attracted to our brand. We get to know each and every data through the digital medium. You like it or not, our entire life's history is being controlled by the big three. You might be knowing that big three. One is Google, Apple, and Facebook. They have the entire our data, what our preferences are, what we wish to eat, like, travel, mode of travel, everything they have. So it's not a big deal trying to understand what the market responds like today.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Pleasure, thank you.
So I think we have lost Professor Sampath, and I think anyway he would have handed it over to me, so I'll take it on from now. So my name is Veena, and I head the academics here at Happy Valley. Well, I just came for this lecture because, I'm a marketing teacher, and it's been a very, very long time since I have sat through a wonderful lecture like this, having got to hear from the horse's mouth, they say, about what are the values and innovations and all that you've been saying about Audi. It was really nice hearing from you, sir, and thank you so much, Mr. Vivek. Analyzing today's and tomorrow's trends and capturing the societal changes, it's more easily said than done. To continuously have an edge over competition, and that too is possible only if you continuously happen to delight your customers, which I think Audi has been ahead of its race when compared to its competitors. As you said, probably your digital marketing initiatives, your disruptions, your sustainability, all this definitely has helped Audi. We had, I think, more than an hour's lecture where Mr. Vivek has very beautifully captured a lot of data, encapsulated it, packaged it so beautifully, just like his Audi car, and delivered it to us so very wonderfully. So thank you so much, Mr. Vivek, for all the time that you've spent today. And Dr. Kanagaraj has just called up now to, convey his regards to you. He was not able to, make it for the meeting. So he's conveyed his regards to you. And a special thanks to Mr. Siddharth and Ms. Sangamitra. I heard from Professor Sampath that they were in touch with him and have helped him a lot. So thank you, Mr. Siddharth and Sangamitra. Well, I think I would like to join my students in once again saying a big thank you to Mr. Vivek and his team for having spoken to us so much about brand innovation, brand values, and making us feel so greedy. We feel we should not lose any time in buying the next Audi release. Only thing is, if you can also tell us a means to buy it, I think you will have a lot of customers from Happy Valley. So anyway, thank you so much for your time, Mr. Vivek. We would like to meet you in person in college with a bigger audience. Thank you so much once again.
Thanks, Ms. Veena. I'm flattered. And once again, I wish to thank the students also who've been very patient joining this and hearing to what we have to download to them. And once again, thanks to Happy Valley and Mr. Sampath. Thanks to you also.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much. And I thank the students for being here, and I thank faculty members, all the faculty members for being here. So from the marketing department, so we thank you all so much, and thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.